world's changing. And you are right in the center of it.
I don't know what's ahead, but all bets are off.
And there's a bunch of headlines coming out of it. The one that I thought was the most interesting to start with, BC, was Nurmagomedov was asked, if you beat Justin, what's next? And he's like, actually, it's a good question. I don't really know. But he said two things. One, he's not necessarily looking at retirement. And two, he doesn't know what it is, but had said that if he does get past Justin Gaethje, that Dana White, the UFC president, had promised him, quote, something special. What do you make of that?
You can go a few places with that. At its core, something special to me still means George St. Pierre, and still under the idea, although Khabib didn't commit to it this time around, that maybe next April would be his swan song. Maybe this would be him sitting down on his principles and saying, no matter what, I'm not interested in Conor. If I get past Gaethje, it's one more, whether that ends up being Tony Ferguson, Dustin Poirier, whoever ends up sort of coming around as the number one contender, or something special, George St. Pierre, something Dana used to not be into, now he might be. Although, right, there are a couple other things lingering in the background. Zuffa Boxing was supposed to be a thing and has wanted to make a big announcement for a long time. Is it a coincidence that this past week Floyd Mayweather spoke on some podcast? I wish I knew the name at the moment. Was it the Shay Shay podcast, something like that? And he made mention that he's more than willing to come back and keep fighting what he called UFC fighters for $300 million a pop, and mentioned a rematch with Conor and mentioned Khabib Nurmagomedov. I don't want to see Floyd box Khabib, but do you think that could be it? I'm going to say no, based on Khabib's principles and the fact that he said, at this media day, I don't fight for the money. I'm not in this for money. I got business, ventures all over the globe. I'm doing fine. I'm not necessarily motivated by the money. I don't think at the end of the day, Khabib would be a money clout chaser to try to put himself in a spot against Floyd, which is an absolute no-win. But I do know Dana loves money. So I'm just going to say here, Luke, 75% of me believes this is just GSP talk. The other 25% is wondering whether Dana's trying to get Zuffa Boxing off the ground with Floyd versus Khabib somewhere in the Middle East.
I'll say this. Whatever it ends up being, it has to be big. And I know that sounds obvious, but I want to say it in this way. Khabib Nurmagomedov is a certified pay-per-view star, MMA star, and frankly, global sports icon might be a strong word, but I think within the Muslim world that might actually be true. He is a transcendental figure in ways that we often don't talk about him. We talk about Conor, big star, Jorge, big star, and if you ask people, if you press them, they'll admit he's a big star, but he doesn't lead the pack with those kinds of discussions when people ask for the most common names about who folks might know. But he belongs in that conversation. Whatever it ends up being, it has to be special. You can't at that point have defended the titles in the way, or the title, in the way that he has, had the career that he's had, undefeated to this point in the marquee division, and do anything less than St. Pierre or a unifying title fight at 170 or something with Floyd or something crazy. I mean, we even saw in this Golden Boy DAZN Canelo lawsuit that they were trying to find. They were trying to identify who might be a suitable opponent for him, and they even listed Jorge Masvidal.
Opponents.
Say again?
Premier opponents was the term.
Premier, right? Because that's part of the suit, that they had to give him the right kind of opponent. And they even listed Jorge Masvidal and Khabib Nurmagomedov. I mean, this is the level of celebrity and acclaim and value at which he occupies. And so anything other than some kind of legacy fight, some kind of him versus some hero, weight class change, champ, crossover, nothing else at that point would be suitable, because you couldn't do the Tony Ferguson fight at that point. He's not going to have fought Dustin Poirier either at all or in time, so that's out. Conor and him they were supposed to do the Ultimate Fighter according to UFC President Dana White, but then Conor, I guess, messed it up, and Khabib said there's no way he's going to do that, so that's out. So the Conor rematch is on ice. What else could there possibly be other than these big names? I mean, I just don't even know what other direction they could even go.
GSP in Moscow could be the extra special sprinkling on top of it, Lou. I mean, it could be the direction that it would go. You're right. It does tease that it's something extra special more than we thought. But, please, can we not do Floyd Khabib in a boxing ring, please? Please, can we not?
Yeah, how bad would that be? I think it would sell huge numbers and be absolutely terrible.
I mean, they could do a debate and it would sell numbers, to the right market at the right time. But, yeah, how is there any scenario that would be an entertaining watch?
I would, I don't know. But that doesn't mean they won't do it. That doesn't mean they won't try. It doesn't mean that he won't take that kind of opportunity. So that's of note. Another thing he said was, and this is going to be interesting to see how everything goes, the big storyline following Nurmagomedov is always undefeated record, blah, blah, blah. The other part, BC, was he kept getting asked about how he's handling training and this opportunity without his father. He seemed to get visibly annoyed. I have to tell you, I completely sympathize with him. I'm not saying that at first the question is out of bounds. It's not. It's actually a really relevant question because he wasn't just his father or an important figure in his life. He was, in fact, his coach. I've spoken to Javier Mendez on a number of occasions, BC, and every single time the guy would come out and say, when he's there, the camp is different, the energy's different, he's the, daddy's home, quite literally and figuratively. At the same time, though, do you not sympathize with Nurmagomedov that he is already sick of the questions?
Well, I love his interviews. They've really, he's become a guy in the beginning who was, boring, if not, really struggling with English, and has really evolved his presentative personality with, he's still humble and polite, but he takes no BS. And I love that about him. So he was basically like, do you have father? How do you think you would feel? And I love that sort of blunt nature. Yes, it's inbounds to ask that question, but I don't know if you actually listened to that presser, Luke. I'd love to get two things put down on the record. One, all foreign language questions, can we please have them translated like right away? Can we have somebody there, even if it's the fighter himself, just relaying what he said? Because, Khabib doesn't talk publicly that often, so to lose, 10 minutes of that to questions just in Russian, I don't love. But the other thing is, hey, question askers, I know for a lot of you guys, English isn't your first language either, so you may have written down some of these questions, but we basically asked Gaethje and Khabib throughout the same 4 questions over and over and over and over again. So when you have that as the foundation, a template, and one of the questions is asking you what is to you a very obvious question about your dad and is this hard and your trainer. Yeah, I love that he basically crapped on it and was like, enough. Of course it's hard. It's real damn hard. So good for Khabib holding up firm on that. And at the end of the day, if his stance is official, that it's no Conor, and he didn't seem to want to talk about Conor when asked, no Conor ever again, and he's firm with that, I support that. I'm completely fine. The win was one-sided and dominant. He doesn't want to let this guy who he thinks is trash ever, profit again off of him. If that's the closing stance and he's ready to walk away on that, that's fine with me.
Are you in?
This is our time. The world's changing. And you are right in the center of it.
I don't know what's ahead, but all bets are off.